Have you or a loved one been the victim of an overtrigger related incident? Have you suffered inappropriate game loss, unwanted damage denial, or even mental and emotional damage? Call me right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Hello everyone, and welcome back to, is this enough stubble to make me look like Matt Murdock? Alright, so I know what you might be thinking. Another VanTuber whining about the overtrigger. Another premium elitist telling me that I'm bad for even liking them. You might think that, but it's not the case, and all I ask is please hear me out, because contrary to what you might think, I don't entirely hate the overtrigger. I would ideally like this to be kind of an open discussion. You know, I kind of thought that with the last ban list, I guess I shouldn't say think, I was hopeful. I didn't expect it, but I was kind of hoping that it would at least be banned in premium, just to get it out of there. Premium specifically, just because there's a lot of deck thinning and a lot of reshuffling the overtrigger back into deck that you can do, so it just kind of makes it a lot more likely to be a thing. So maybe, you know, after Springfest, we can see something happen, maybe, I don't know. And then, you know, maybe this could also just end up being a time capsule to a time long gone by when the overtrigger was so hotly contested. Over the past year though, I don't think anything has been more maligned or divisive in Vanguard than the overtrigger. And I was around during the V-Monday days because I am a Vanguard boomer, apparently. Regardless of your opinion, I think we can all agree on that. I would hope. I remember, it's already been like exactly a year, I think. I remember when they were first revealed, I was skeptical, to say the least, but maybe even cautiously optimistic. I don't know. I'm also not a big fan of it. If you're not a big fan of it, I understand. It's a little weird, but hey, we gotta have our gimmicks, right? And there's been a lot of good with Overdress. I think Overdress so far has been great. I think there's been a lot of good over the past year, except for this, which has been the glaring exception. You might even compare the overtrigger to Zazan, but unfortunately, I don't think the community is as united on this issue. They've been the cause of internet arguments and complaint threads galore and angry tweets on Twitter. And now videos like this. Someone else has probably already made a video. I would be surprised if they didn't. Let's actually start positive, right? Because I said I don't entirely hate the overtriggers. And honestly, I don't even think it's fair to say that I hate them or even necessarily dislike them. I'm just disappointed. Back on track to the good things though. I do think that the base idea is really cool. A one-of card in your deck with crazy swinging power. Powerful effects that spice up the game when triggered. I like that concept. I think it's fun, and I would like to see it explored more should something happen to the overtrigger where it's just not played anymore. I think also it functioning as a draw and a fifth heal and kind of like a sentinel, bigger than a crit sentinel at least, is also interesting. Unfortunately, I think that's where all the good things end. When we get into the bad, let's start with the one thing that is synonymous with every single overtrigger. 100 million power. Just saying it is so, it's funny in a way. I would like to hope that you don't need me to explain to you why that is bad. Previously, the ceiling on power in Vanguard was around the 100k range. Excalibur and a certain bird come to mind that would reach those heights, and probably some others, not that I can think of. Zoa was literally just 1 point shy of 100k, if I remember correctly. And while it wasn't always likely, it wasn't unheard of to hear of somebody hard guarding 100k. Also, I don't think anyone was ever reaching 100k defensively, at least not that I know of, and I would really hope not, at least not consistently. 100 million power is an unstoppable force and an insurmountable wall. It shuts down turns and ends games prematurely and rewards players for doing nothing more than just flipping it up at the right time. It is so unbelievably demoralizing to throw everything into a turn, to do everything right, to be playing around your opponent perfectly, to be popping off and like setting them up for an instant win, maybe not an instant win, but a sure win turn, only for an opponent to just sit there, flip up, overtrigger. All the costs paid, all the planning, just done. Can't do anything about it. Not to mention situations where it's like, well, I can survive a turn just as long as I don't check the overtrigger, and then, oh, would you look at that, the overtrigger. Even though I've been playing better than this other person the entire time. There's probably a little bit of salt coming through with that, because that literally happened to me in a win-a-bucks tournament where I was playing Barrow. My opponent was playing Overlord. I was outplaying them every step of the way. I was in control of that game at every single turn. And then he checks a couple crits and hits his overtrigger. What am I supposed to do? I only had one perfect guard. You might, to try and see the other side of it, you might think it's not that bad. It doesn't happen often. And even if that were true, the fact that it can even happen at all, I would say, is problem enough. People from other card game communities have looked at this thing and thought it was a joke.
So this one has a trigger effect over, what is this? Wait, plus, I can't read that. Additional effect. Choose one of your units and it gets plus 100 million until the end of the turn. This card is like, it's a joke, right? This isn't a real card.
For a game like Vanguard, which is already seen as a kind of luck-based game, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's not what we're talking about today. I would say this actively damages the game's perception to outsiders and people coming in. And that's probably the biggest problem. I forget who tweeted it out. It was a while back, but somebody saying that, they tried to get their friend into Vanguard, hit an overtrigger, and just turned them off from the game completely, and they were done. I think the way they put it was, you get one first impression and that was theirs. I think that's the real problem there. And I think to an extent, like, I get how they can be seen as fun, but I think to an extent, I almost feel like Vanguard players have like Stockholm syndrome, where it's like they have to like everything. Maybe that's unfair. Oh, it's fun for casual players. And, maybe I could kind of see your point there. But winning thanks to an overtrigger doesn't do any favors to someone trying to learn to play better and improve. And likewise, losing to them does the same thing. Winning or losing with an overtrigger doesn't show you what you could have done better or played better or done differently in order to win a certain game. I've even seen people say that they like the overtrigger because it adds an extra layer of mental games to the game. Playing around, I have my overtrigger in their hand, but I can keep it hidden, so that way they don't know that it could still be they could think that it's still in my deck, and vice versa, and like, oh, they constantly gotta play around if it's still in the... I think that's a bad argument, because it doesn't add any depth to the game that wasn't already there by triggers existing. Look, if you want Vanguard to be a casual game, that's how you view it, that's how you play it, that's how you enjoy it, that's totally fine. You can do that. I think there's room in any and every card game for a casual market and casual play for people who just want to have fun. I mean, that's ultimately why I play premium more than anything, is because I have so much fun building weird decks. But that completely disregards the fact that a competitive scene for this game does exist. People take it seriously, and they love to take it more seriously. There is room for skilled play in Vanguard to outplay opponents by being the better player. Overtriggers are anything but that. I've also heard people say that it's the same as getting double crit or miracle healed. Those are not the same, and if that's your argument, it's a bad one. You can play around an opponent healing at 6. Them healing at 6 and getting 10k power doesn't immediately shut down your turn. It doesn't even necessarily end the game unless maybe it was the last attack of the turn and that's when they healed on 6. If an opponent double crits you to death, maybe you should have tried guarding more. Now, I'm not saying that's like the answer to every situation where a double crit comes up and then kills you, but I would like to see somebody say, oh, you should have just guarded more when it comes to an overtrigger. You can't no pass an overtrigger. You can't even 1 to pass or 2 to pass an overtrigger. That's the problem, right? Look, at the end of the day, I dedicate an entire day out of my week to playing this game, and so many more hours making content for it and interacting with the community around it, and I love that. The community is, for the most part, pretty great, at least the pockets that I interact with. I love this game, and I just kind of feel like it deserves better than this. Okay, so disclaimer, and I'm putting it at the end of the video so that if you comment and you make a fool of yourself in my comment section, I'll know that you didn't watch the entire video. Look, I don't think that overtriggers ruin the game, right? I want to make that very clear. I don't think they ruin Vanguard, but I do think they make for some very unpleasant situations. Like literally just this past weekend at locals, I had a friend get just completely just destroyed by an overtrigger, and he just sat there and said, and people wondered why I like Yu-Gi-Oh more. It was a joke, partially, I think, but come on. I mean, that kind of, you know, just the fact. I mean, come on. I don't know if there's even a fix for this either, or if there ever will be a fix for this. You know, do they errata for something lower than 100 million power? I don't know. Do they ban them? I mean, personally, you know, myself and I know plenty of other people are in favor of that, but do they do that and then make new, ideally more balanced ones? I don't know. But what I do know is that I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, whether you agree or disagree with me, please be civil in the comments. I think we can agree to that, I would hope. Also, if you made it this far, thank you. I feel a little ranty in this one, but hopefully it wasn't that much of a chore to get through. If you want to do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, and because I mean, it goes a long way in helping me out, and I appreciate you a lot for it. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think this argument's been done to death, but I just had to get it out there. Anyways, thanks. Till next time.